Welcome back to Cheat to Death Fabrication. Behind me is a 1995 Ford Bronco, and in this video, we're building a front winch bumper. Here we have a 1995 Ford Bronco, and as you can see, I've already went ahead and removed the original bumper. And removing the bumper was pretty straightforward, seeing as it was only held on by 2 bolts on this side and 2 bolts on this side as well. And here we have the alleged bolts. Since the front bumper has already been removed, I can basically jump right into fabrication. But before I do, I want to give you an idea of what this bumper is going to look like completed. Over here on the left, we have a rendering of what the bumper is going to look like completed. And for this build, we're going with a pretty beefy design. We'll be housing the winch in the middle of the bumper. We're also adding shackle mounts and shackles, as well as a big giant stinger on the top of the bumper. And as always, the fabrication process has been turned into a little montage for your viewing pleasure. So sit back, relax, enjoy the music, and I will check back in once this bumper is complete and installed. front bumper build for this classic Bronco. Before we wrap this video up, let's have a small overview of the entire build. Here we have the completed front bumper on what is now turning into a very stout Bronco. This is a complete 3/16 build with the exception of these shackle mounts here in the front. It is mounted to the original mounting location for the bumper here in the front of the frame rails. Of course, you cannot ignore the big beefy stinger in the front, which is made of DOM tubing. We have some additional support here on the ends of the stinger, and we have these light mounts that I am extremely proud of. This is the first time I've done a recessed light in this fashion with a flush and rounded off front. And here is what it looks like in the back. I have the light here that is going in that fixture, and here is how that light fits in place. And this bumper also has a winch plate. And speaking of the winch and the lights, I am about to finish the bumper and install this winch and the rest of these lights. And if you would like to see the bumper with the winch and the lights, you can find it on the social media pages at Cheated Death Fabrication, as by the time that you are watching this video, all of this will already be installed. And as always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next fabrication video.